Today's video is all about the story of John Mayer's 1963 Fiesta Red Stratocaster. Everyone loves a Fiesta Red Strat, so I figured this would be a really cool guitar to highlight and tell the story of on the channel. We're going to take a look at the original listing of the guitar and when John bought it, go over some really awesome performances with this Strat, as well as discuss how this guitar might have just influenced the actual overall design of the PRS Silver Sky. And if at this point you're asking yourself, wait, John owned a 1963 Fiesta Red Strat? Then this video is definitely for you, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the story of John Mayer's 63 Fiesta Red Strat. Alright, so our story begins in 2017 at Emerald City Guitars. This is just as far back as we can go when it comes to this specific guitar. Now, what I've done for you guys is I've gone back through an internet archive and was able to find a saved version of the actual original listing of this guitar. And this saved version of the listing was from July 25th of 2017. Now, as far as when John actually purchased the guitar, it was sometime between July 28th, which was the very last post on social media that Emerald City Guitars made with this instrument, and August 3rd, which was the very first time we'd seen John playing the Fiesta Red Strat, which we'll get to in just a moment. But first, I just thought it'd be really cool to go over the actual original listing of this guitar, because it's not very often we actually get to see right from where John bought it from in the actual original listing. So we have a 1963 Fender Stratocaster, and the original ask of it was $54,995. As near as makes no difference, 55 grand. Obviously, 1963 is the year. The condition was listed as very good, and it does come with the original hard shell case, which is very good to know. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to grab any of the other images from the listing from this archive version of it, just the kind of thumbnail version of the main image of the guitar. However, I do have the description that I can read for you guys, which is just very cool to see. So, 1963 Fender Stratocaster in an original custom color Fiesta Red. This gorgeous pre-CBS guitar is 100% original and in fantastic unaltered condition. The finish on this one has aged perfectly with the beautiful pinked out shade of Fiesta Red that everyone loves. The body and shows some heavier finish wear, but give the guitar so much vibe. The body and shows some heavier finish wear, but give the guitar so much vibe. Sorry, I just had a hard time reading that because it was... The body shows some heavier finish wear, but gives the guitar so much vibe is what I just assumed they were trying to say there. A fantastic player with a wonderful feeling neck. The pickups sound incredible and are strong and clear with that classic Strat glassiness. A very rare, beautiful instrument and killer player and collector's piece, includes original brown hard shell case. So really cool just to see them talking about the guitar, and obviously the main point here is that it's 100% original, unaltered, which is something that a collector like John, and with the means of being able to purchase guitars of the highest quality like John, he's going to want something that's all original. So that's really awesome to see, and just something I thought you guys would really enjoy, seeing that actual listing of the guitar. So Emerald City Guitars got this Fiesta Red Strat in some point in June of 2017, and as I already mentioned, it was sold to John between July 28th and August 3rd, just kind of the timeline of when things line up that it would have just made its way into John's possession. And of course, Emerald City Guitars being a very, very high-end, amazing store out of Seattle. If I ever go to Seattle, I definitely will visit these guys. A great place for John to actually look and buy a vintage Strat from, that's for sure. So the very first show we actually ever see John using, just look at it. It's beautiful. Everyone loves a Fiesta Red Strat. They literally say that right in the description. The very first time that John used the Fiesta Red Strat, the 63 Fiesta Red Strat, was during the 2017 World Tour on August 3rd, and it wasn't just any performance on August 3rd. It was the performance in San Antonio with Jimmy Vaughn. Jimmy Vaughn joining the John Mayer Trio in San Antonio was just a very special moment and certainly a highlight of the 2017 World Tour as a whole. The dynamics and just the chemistry between Jimmy and John is just phenomenal. You can see it in that performance. And that performance is even just that little bit more special because John was debuting his newly bought 63 Fiesta Red Stratocaster, and in John's hands on stage, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. I think you guys can all agree with me on that point. Now, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that you might have been going, well wait, John owns a 63 Fiesta Red Stratocaster? And it's for a very good reason. While the public debut of this guitar in John's hands was on August 3rd, we only got a handful of shows after this date where John would actually perform with this guitar before it would just go back into the vault, and we haven't seen it again as far as I'm aware. And I've tried to find more shots and footage of John playing this guitar outside of the 2017 tour, the Search for Everything era. However, there really isn't a lot of footage at all of John with this guitar. A few highlight performances really all are from the John Mayer Trio kind of set list that John was performing in 2017. Dallas' performance is one in particular where Good Love Is On The Way gets performed, arguably my favorite trio song, and John chose to use the Fiesta Red Stratocaster for that performance. And for the performance of I Got a Woman in Dallas as well for that trio setlist, John would stick with the Fiesta Red Stratocaster. Another really cool performance of John with this guitar. And before that Dallas performance on August 5th, John actually took to Instagram and did a live stream, and the guitar he was playing was that 63 Fiesta Red Strat. It's a great live stream overall. He talks about the inspiration behind the riff of Edge of Desire, performs a little bit of I'm Going to Find Another You as well, but obviously the main takeaway here with this clip is that he's playing with the 63 Fiesta Red, and it's a good look at the guitar up close because a lot of the footage that I've been able to find, at least, you don't get to see a lot of the guitar, and this is just a bit of a better angle of it and kind of seeing it up close and personal with John holding it in this live stream.
Awesome Saturday. I'm going off to sound check to plug this thing in on the big stage.
And in sticking with using this guitar with the John Mayer Trio around this time frame, John used it for Crossroads in Atlanta, Georgia on August 10th as well. And while it certainly seems like John preferred to use this Strat for the John Mayer Trio portion of the set list at this time, he did use it for a few different performances like Moving On and Getting Over in Tampa, as well as a handful of performances of something like Olivia. And this video isn't meant to document every single performance of John with this guitar, but these are a bunch of the ones that I've been able to find, and the vast majority of the ones I've personally been able to find. So if you guys know of any other performances of John with this guitar, please link them all down below so we can check them out. But these are the highlights and pretty much the vast majority of the ones that I was able to find in my research for you guys. Now when it comes to this 63 Fiesta Red Stratocaster, there's one other performance I'd like to highlight that John used the guitar for that was outside of the 2017 tour, and this was actually for the Radio City Music Hall performance with Dave Chappelle on August 17th of 2017, and unfortunately we have one image of John with the guitar and no footage actually exists because of Dave Chappelle's no phones policy at all of his shows. So we just have no footage. I'm sorry, but that's the reality that we face when it comes to this performance with Dave Chappelle. So at this point in our story, we've covered the original listing and John purchasing this guitar, as well as some really amazing performances that John did with it during kind of August timeline in 2017 during the Search for Everything tour. Now, I personally believe that there is kind of an overarching why behind all of this. Now, in my opinion, I very strongly believe there is one very specific reason as to why John purchased this guitar. Sure, he collects vintage instruments, he loves vintage guitars, we know this. Anyone would love to have that Fiesta Red Stratocaster. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sure it just plays absolutely incredibly. We're not questioning that at all. However, what else was John kind of experimenting with, road testing, and developing during the Search for Everything tour in 2017? Well, the PRS Silver Sky. And we know that the Silver Sky was primarily based around John's 64 Stratocaster. However, it was kind of the modernization of just vintage Stratocasters in general, not just specifically John's 64 Sunburst Strat, but guitars from 63 and 64 were really what it's based on. And in 2017, John just happens to go and purchase a all-original, very gorgeous version of a 63 Stratocaster in Fiesta Red. It just seems very coincidental, to me at least, that he'd buy that guitar, play it for a few shows, then put it in the vault, and that's kind of it. To me at least, in my opinion, I really believe that this guitar was a guitar that John purchased kind of with the intention of grabbing another really great example of a vintage Stratocaster to then help give him some idea and a real physical example of kind of what he was trying to go for and help him develop while he was road testing prototypes of the Silver Sky. That's at least personally what I think was going on here with the Fiesta Red. It just lines up a little too well in my opinion, and I think it's absolutely brilliant that he went and did that, because playing live is where he's going to get the absolute best kind of feel and real-time feedback on what he likes about the instrument, especially if he's aware that this is what he's doing. He goes and buys an all-original 63 Strat, plays it live, and while he's playing it and going out on stage with it, he's like, all right, what is it about these old vintage guitars that I really like? What is it about these guitars that I really connect with and makes me inspired to play and just have a lot of fun with on stage? So I think for me, if this is what he did, at least, it was absolutely brilliant that we're going to go buy another guitar and let's just get some of its vibe and get some input from this guitar and help develop the Silver Sky to be the best instrument that we can make. That's what I believe they did, and I just think it's an absolute, really great move on their end. So while this guitar is just a gorgeous example of a vintage Fender Stratocaster and in a finish that everyone loves, everyone just loves Fiesta Red, to me there was more to this guitar, and that's really why I wanted to highlight it and tell the story of this guitar on the channel. It's not one that gets talked about, and for good reason, because John only performed with it a handful of times, and it, for a lot of people I believe, has kind of fallen under the radar as a guitar that most people don't even realize John performed with and owned. But like I said, everyone loves a vintage Fiesta Red Strat. It's just, they're fantastic and kind of the holy grail of guitars for a lot of people. So I wanted to highlight it on the channel for that reason and tell its story, but also because truly, in my opinion at least, this guitar had some sort of input in the development of the Silver Sky. We always talk about the 64 being the guitar that the Silver Sky really was conceptualized from and the main guitar in its development, which I believe to be true. But this really cool Fiesta Red Strat from 1963, I also do believe had some sort of input on, and it just makes the guitar even more important to the story and the development of the Silver Sky, and really where we are today as the Silver Sky's evolved on its own and become a lot more of its own thing. It's just where we are today, and with guys like Philip Sayce even playing the Silver Sky live, it's just part of its history, I feel like, and it's just something I thought would be really valuable, and because a lot of people don't even know about this guitar, just something really awesome to highlight for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the story of John Mayer's 1963 Fiesta Red Stratocaster. I apologize that there's not really that much to it, but hopefully a very cool story for you all to hear regardless. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. That just helps with the engagement on the video and helps my channel grow and develop. And if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing. You're going to get recommended my content no matter what. That's how YouTube works. However, as my subscriber count keeps going up, it just lets me know I'm doing a great job and helps my channel promote to other people who haven't quite seen my content just yet. So I always appreciate that. And as well in the comments, let me know down below if there are any other guitars of John's you'd like to see me do a video telling the story of, like this one. These are very fun videos to make, and so I'd always be down to kind of see what I can do in research and come up with another full story, as full of a story as I can at least make it, on different guitars of John's or another artist that I am influenced by, for example. So anyways, you guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Anyway, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you like what you see.